Hi, Sadie. Hi, Eric. Sophia Soto with the Nerds of Color. Thank you both so much for your time today, and congratulations on this movie. Amazing performances, both of you. Of
Thank
Thank
you
you.
so much.
course. So, Sadie, I'd love to start with you because your character has such a big arc, I feel like, from when we first see her, when you first enter the movie and then till the final scene. And there's a lot of emotion buried that I feel like eventually comes out like in a spiral almost. What
Mhm.
did you love most about exploring the character, and how did she challenge you in a way that maybe your past characters haven't?
Um, I think what challenged me kind of at first was that in the beginning, she felt a lot just like very normal, like kind of someone that you know. And in most of the characters that I've played, they've always been like really different from me. But I felt like at the beginning, I could kind of like relax into myself a bit. But then, of course, as the film goes on, we stray from that, and there's a lot of heavy, out of the ordinary emotions. I think the most challenging was probably towards the end of the film. It gets super, super physical. So just like the stamina required for that was a lot more intense than I was expecting. Um, but yeah, when I think about the most challenging stuff to film, I definitely think about the water. That was rough.
Yeah. Oh, we're getting into that. Don't you worry.
Yeah.
Eric, I mean, there's obviously this huge twist when it comes to Nina. Can you tell me about how you first felt reading that script and reading that twist of how it was going to go, especially after he really, I think, felt so many things for her. And then to have that kind of just twist around must have been so, as the character getting in that headspace. And can you tell me about your approach to that big confrontation moment where he finds out the truth?
Yeah, well, I remember when I read that, I was like, "Whoa, how are we gonna film that?" I knew that was going to be a real challenge, but I loved his vulnerability in kind of falling really for Nina. I love the way Jordan had written that, and like his ego just kind of like he just couldn't believe his luck. You know that there was this beautiful, interesting, intelligent woman that was interested in him. And so I loved working with Sylvia. It was just effortless, all that stuff with her, and the way that Jordan had written the stuff between Ben and Mazzy, the father daughter elements were really, really well written. And I loved all the psychology behind it, and the fact that in the end, Nina kind of is his blind spot, really, for the vulnerabilities that then occur between him and Mazzy. So there was so many layers in the structure that I thought it was brilliant.
Yeah. And as you were speaking, I just made another connection because I feel like love ultimately and falling for these other characters was the downfall for both of your characters. Did you put that together when you were reading the script, and how did you feel about that?
Yeah, I think in a way it's subtle, but Mazzy and Ben's journeys kind of mirror each other.
Yeah.
And it's kind of just shows that like it can happen to anyone, no matter you think Mazzy is more susceptible to kind of the path that she ended up taking because of her age and her vulnerability, but you see it happen to someone of like Ben too. So really just proving that this kind of thing isn't really a matter of intelligence always or age or maturity. So it's just kind of a case by case situation. Um, yeah.
Yeah. Eric, anything to add? I mean, that parallel is so brilliantly done. Like you said, it's so subtle.
Yeah, it is, and it kind of, I guess, also kind of speaks to the fact that like the guy who's like considered the expert on cults, that the vulnerability becomes his blind spot as well. And so it all comes down to really our sense of needing to feel loved and needing to feel seen. You know.
Definitely. And Sadie, as you're talking about the lake, one of the parallels or full circle moment that I noticed was obviously Mazzy's accident, and then coming full circle with the lake and that big moment for your characters. Can you both tell me about how you felt in regards to the arc almost being completed in that way?
Yeah, I think it kind of just plays with that whole idea of like, for me, I think of like the start again kind of theme throughout the movie. And with that, to end with where it began, all the kind of turmoil within her family, with the first accident to mirror the last accident, that instead of maybe bringing kind of this breaking point between the family, it brings just a new beginning for them, or at least for Mazzy and Ben's connection as father and daughter.
Yeah, this the more we talk about this, so the more I discover how many kind of subliminal messages are embedded in this screenplay. It's actually even smarter than I thought it was, and I always felt like it was really smart. And it was so cool for Sadie and I because you know, in typical filmmaking structure, it was the first scene we had together was the very, very end. You know, and
Really?
yeah, like talk about a trust exercise between two actors. Like we've never worked together. I want you to just hold your breath and trust that you're not going to drown because of what I'm about to do. You know, like it was such a crazy introduction to the production. But no, it was just awesome.
Actually, it kind of just led me to my next question because father-daughter relationships are something that is just so precious. And I feel like they have to be portrayed the right way on screen, which I felt like you two did an amazing job. Did you feel like starting there with that final moment almost helped you for the rest, even though it, you didn't start at the beginning, you started at the end? Did you feel like that helped both of you?
I mean, it definitely helped in the sense that we got the hardest part out of the way. But yeah, I think building that kind of strong bond and trust between us as playing father and daughter is super, super important. And I've always just been so drawn to like a father-daughter dynamic. I think the relationship that a daughter has with her father can be one of the most important relationships. That kind of feeling of protection that a dad has for his daughter is something that I don't know, I think it's so precious and told in a very dramatic, obviously, but in a very impactful way in this.
Yeah, same. And it was very simple for me. Sadie's the exact same age as my daughter. So yeah, that whole dynamic was quite simple, but made easier by the fact that, you know, it was just so well written. And also there was a lot of tension in the characters. You know, it wasn't just all kind of like fun and love. There was a lot of tension embedded in the structure of this broken family and then her getting a sense that Nina was coming and taking my attention away during their special time. And
Yeah.
I love that. I love that it wasn't just really simple.
Well, you both did, again, an amazing job. And thank you both so much for your insightful answers. I had a great time speaking with you. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. Have a great
Bye-bye.
rest of your day.
The activist directors, comments and the lectures, fanboys, professional artists and professors. Maybe a nerd who's just like you, talking about the things that you like too. So I invite you to the NOC. In full color, you see me. The hard knock life, comics, movies, and TV. Yeah, pop culture with a different perspective. Watch it on your screen, hit play, so check this.